Hello everyone, Mark here. All right, so some of you guys know that I have a desire, desire, which means a wantingness to do something. I have a desire to learn how to code. And since there are so many expert coders out there, you guys have been very kind to offer to teach me, but because of time commitments and other things, we've never been able to put it together. Now that I'm on vacation, I've had some time to do it, and today was the first day. I went on the website online, Mr. Google, and found codeacademy.com. It's really cool, and I took my first class today in HTML and CSS. It's very short, but it also gave me the idea that this may be boring, but I think it could be kind of cool. I integrated into an English lesson. So throughout this course, I decided to do an audio. It's like think of it like an audio book, and although the content may be very basic for you, I'm sure some of the words or the pronunciation or the intonation will not be. So feel free to go through it with me and practice yourselves because, as I mentioned before many times, reading aloud is one of the best ways to work your mouth, your jaw, right here, relax mouth, relax tongue, to sound more like a native English speaker. So reading aloud is really good. So listen to me and then try to read it out loud and record it, listen to it, and see what you like. See what words or sounds sound most natural for you or which ones you need to work on. So without further ado, here we go. Hope you enjoy it. Bye. What is HTML? HTML is the language used to create the web pages you visit every day. It provides a logical way to structure content for web pages. Let's analyze the acronym HTML, as it contains a lot of useful information. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. A markup language is a computer language that defines the structure and presentation of raw text. Markup languages work by surrounding raw text with information the computer can interpret, marking it up for processing. Hypertext is text displayed on a computer or device that provides access to other text through links, also known as hyperlinks. In fact, you probably clicked on many hyperlinks on your path to this Code Academy course. In this course, you'll learn how to use the fundamentals of HTML to structure, present, and link content. You'll also learn how to use CSS or cascading style sheets to style the HTML content you add to web pages. Let's get started. Instructions. Number 1. In the code editor to the right, type your name in between, and then you have symbols here. Now, this first symbol, they're called angle brackets, but when I go through this, I'll leave them out because you'll know that they're there. I'll just say H1 and /H1 instead of saying angle brackets all the way through because that could be annoying. Then press run. Community forums. Now, on community forums and report a bug, I won't do that every time, but it's good for you to hear the words initially. Community forums. Get help and ask questions on the Code Academy community forums. Go to the forums. Report a bug. If you see a bug or any other issue with this page, please report it here. And then on the bottom here, you have the Learn HTML and CSS at the top. You have index.html, style.css, then you have run, back, next, get help, get started, and you have my name. All right, here we go. Next page. Doc type, or exclamation point, doc type. A web browser must know what language a document is written in before they can process the contents of the document. You can let web browsers know that you are using the HTML language by starting your HTML document with a document type declaration. The declaration is the following: exclamation point, doc type, capital letters, HTML, lowercase letters. This declaration is an instruction. It tells the browser what type of document to expect, along with what version of HTML is being used in the document. Exclamation point doctype HTML must be the first line of code in all of your HTML documents. Note, if you don't use the doctype declaration, your HTML code will likely still work. However, it's risky. Right now, the browser will correctly assume that you are using HTML5 as HTML5 is the current standard. In the future, however, a new standard will override HTML5. Future browsers may assume you're using a different, newer standard, in which case your document will be interpreted incorrectly. To make sure your document is forever interpreted correctly, always include exclamation point doctype HTML at the very beginning of your HTML documents. Instructions. Number 1. On line 1, add the exclamation point doctype HTML declaration. Preparing the HTML. Great. Browsers that read your code will know to expect HTML when they attempt to read your file. The exclamation point doctype HTML declaration is only the beginning, however. It only tells the browser that you plan on using HTML in the document. It doesn't actually add any HTML structure or content. To begin adding HTML structure and content, we must first add opening and closing HTML tags, like so. See the picture below. Anything between HTML and /HTML will be considered HTML code. Without these tags, it's possible that browsers could incorrectly interpret your HTML code and present HTML content in unexpected ways. Instructions. Number 1. After your exclamation point doctype HTML declaration, add opening HTML and closing /HTML tags. HTML anatomy. Before we move forward, let's standardize some vocabulary we'll use as you learn HTML. Here are some of the terms you'll see used in this course. Angle brackets. In HTML, the characters, symbols seen here and there, are known as angle brackets. HTML element, or simply element. HTML code that lives inside of angle brackets. Opening tag, the first or opening HTML tag used to start an HTML element. Closing tag, the second or closing HTML tag used to end an HTML element. Closing tags have a / inside of them. With the exception of a few HTML elements, most elements consist of an opening and closing tag. In the following example, this one paragraph element made up of one opening tag and one closing tag. Hello there. The head. So far, you've declared to the browser the type of document it can expect, an HTML document, and added the HTML element. That will contain the rest of your code. Let's also give the browser some information about the page. We can do this by adding a head element. The head element will contain information about the page that isn't displayed directly on the actual web page. You'll see an example in the next exercise. And here's the photo right here. Number 1, instructions. Add a head element to index.html. Page titles. What kind of information about the web page can the head element contain? Well, if you look at the top of your browser or at one of the tabs you may have open in this browser window, you'll notice the words Learn HTML and CSS Part 1, Code Academy, which is the title of this web page. The browser displays the title of the page because the title can be specified directly inside of the head element by using a title element. And you have the picture there. If we were to open a file containing the HTML code in the example above, the browser would display the words My Coding Journal in the title bar or in the tabs bar title. Instructions. Add a title to your web page using the title element. The title can be anything you'd like. And they have two B's there, so that was incorrect on their part. So I put for my title, Mark's Coding Journal. Where does the title appear? The web page you are currently viewing has a title of Learn HTML and CSS Part 1 Code Academy. Because the browser used in this course does not have a title bar, you won't be able to see the title of a web page if you add one. The diagram to the right, however, illustrates specifically where a web page's title would appear on a browser. The body. We've added some HTML, but still haven't seen any results in the web browser to the right. Why is that? Before we can add content that a browser will display, we have to add a body to the HTML file. Once the file has a body, many different types of content can be added within the body, like text, images, buttons, and much more. Then you have the picture below. All of the code above demonstrates what is sometimes referred to as boilerplate code. The term boilerplate code is used to describe the basic HTML code required to begin creating a web page. Without all of the elements in the boilerplate code, you'll risk starting without the minimum requirements considered to be best practice. Note, the rest of the course will use code examples like the one above. To save space, however, code examples will avoid including common elements like the declaration, head, and so on. Unless otherwise specified, you can assume that the code in the example code blocks belong directly within the HTML file's body. Instructions. Number 1. Add a body to your web page using the body element. Review structure. Congratulations on completing the first unit of HTML and CSS. You are well on your way to becoming a skilled web developer. All right, I'm excited because as I was going through this, I had to type and go through each one of those, which was cool. Let's review what you've learned so far. The exclamation point doc type HTML declaration should always be the first line of code in your HTML files. The HTML element will contain all of your HTML code. Information about the web page, like the title, belongs within the head of the page. You can add a title to your web page by using the title element inside of the head. Code for visible HTML content will be placed inside the body element. What you learned in this lesson constitutes the required setup for all HTML files. The rest of the course will teach you more about how to add content using HTML and how to style that content using CSS. And then in the instructions, it took me through each one, but I had to do it myself before it would allow me to continue. So I thought that was very cool. I hope you enjoyed it. There's a lot of, this is really good to listen to and to try to do yourself because it's about putting sounds together. And even if you're very familiar and this was so basic for you, try reading it because it's even for me, a native English speaker, it was certainly a challenge. So, all right, guys, just something different to always add to this English program. And take care. All the best. Bye.